You're always going to have ups and downs in real estate because of economic factors, and there's a lot of factors, right? So you can mitigate some of that with great SEO, right? Great social. Because the thing about a personal brand is that it has absolutely fucking nothing to do with you. It has to do with your ICP. Your personal brand's not for you unless you're going to be the one liking and commenting on it to yourself. The reason that I give away the templates is it is a lead magnet. 3% of people are ready to go. If you get them into your nurture system, you're hitting them up every week until they buy. So the reason to go that route is that you're capturing 50% of the market. Can you own a property management company? All of the people that you're finding apartment complexes for are going to use you. They already trust you. They bought it from you, right?
You can get them drowning in leads. But if they can't retain or even convert the customer in the first place, it's pointless.
Yep.
Nate, you teach real estate agents how to generate leads through social media. Your main landing page is essentially giving away social media templates. Why are you giving away templates for free instead of a strategy call? And if you were an agent, would you do the same thing?
Yeah, great question. So the reason that I give away the templates is it is a lead magnet. One of the things that you'll find, and this is the same thing with agents, and this is the reason agents should do the same thing I do, is that Alan Dibb wrote a page called The One Page Marketing Plan. Phenomenal book, phenomenal author, cool guy. But one of the things he talks about is that at the point when you're going to give a sale, 3% of people are ready to go. Like they're ready to buy right now, locked and loaded. Another 47% are going to be ready within the year. But if you make a hard pitch like, hey, let's get on a call, and they're like, hey, I'm not part of the 3%, like, no, I don't need one right now, you lose them. They're gone, right? But if you get them into your email list, if you get them into your nurture system, then you're hitting them up every week or every couple weeks. I mean, probably every week if you're doing it right, but you're hitting them up every week until they buy. So the reason that you do something like give away a template, which it doesn't need to be giving away templates, agents shouldn't be doing that. There's a lot of ways agents can go, but I wouldn't do that one. But the idea is that then they're top of mind. And we know with real estate sales, it's just about being top of mind, man. And so I would say the reason to go that route is that you're capturing 50% of the market. And if my percentages are off, like it's close to what I said. So don't quote Alan Dibb. That might have been a Nathan Schiess thing, but you're going to capture a much larger segment of the market than if every time you talk, it's just that, it's just like buy right now. It's like, hey, I'll nurture, buy when you're ready.
No, that's very, very true. I see this a lot. So when we run Google ads, basically everyone that we do, we have a very low pressure campaign after we bring the lead in. And it's like, if you want to hop on a call, no worries. Like we're happy to get you more information. But the biggest one that we push is the MLS feed. So it's effectively that email list type of thing. So every time a new house hits the market, you send it to them, even if they're listing, because a lot of people who are listing are going to buy immediately after. So you just send that. And that works really, really well. But like I have an agent who's been with us for 6 months. Nothing has closed yet just because the market in their area is really, 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 really bad. It's a super harsh seller's market right now. So nothing's closed. So you can't expect anything to close, especially in a higher ticket like real estate immediately.
Yeah.
You have to play the long game. There's no other way around it.
No, 100%. And my philosophy is this, Indra, because you're absolutely right. One of the things that I hear from agents that I'm working with who are just getting going, and agents who've been in the game for 20 years, is that you're having ups and downs. Always. You're always going to have ups and downs in real estate because of economic factors, and there's a lot of factors, right? So you can mitigate some of that with great SEO, right? Great social. But the thing that I found is that with that SEO and that social, one of the things that I've noticed that all great agents have in common is they have something else they do. They have this other component, and it's within real estate if they're smart. I mean, also you can do it other ways too. I don't recommend opening a clothing boutique, but I'll give you a couple examples of clients I've had. So one had a staging company, right? So while she's an agent, so her staging company brings her leads, right? Because she's always in contact with other agents who are needing their listings staged. And so she's always getting, second halves of deals, as well as like it's bringing in income itself as well as leads for her real estate business. And then when you go to her feed, or when you're socially, this works really good for socials, is that it's not always just like, hey, you thinking about buying a house? Like everybody's tired of that, right? So she has some original, interesting content that she can leverage, and that makes her stand out, and it helps her stay top of mind. Because what happens is, if every time you post, it's like, hey, like, if you're thinking about listing your house, people just unfollow you. Like they don't want to do it. It's not interesting, right? So you need to have this other thing you do, whatever it is. And what we're talking about is a USP, but I think that the best USP is an income generating USP. So find something else that is going to make money also, and that complements and has a synergistic relationship with you being an agent.
I don't know. I want to push back on that a little bit, because I feel like if you segment, right? So now you're doing two completely different things. I feel like you almost inherently become a worse agent because you can't focus at all, right? It's like the 80-20 rule. If you throw 20% into one thing, you're going to get 80% there. But if you want to become the best of the best agent, you have to put 100% into it.
Yeah.
You can't just be 80% for both. Because as we know, like if you really want to make money as an agent, it's the 20%, not the 80% that really gets you there. The 80% gets you to making one, maybe two sales a month.
Yeah. I mean,
That last 20 gets you to 10.
It's a great point, Andrew, and an interesting point. So I see where you're coming from. And if you're agent through and through, like, hey, I want to be a broker with 100 agents under me, I would make the argument, though, that's your second thing, is you're a broker. Your second thing is that I sell so much real estate, I'm going to teach people how to sell real estate. This idea of like, I'm going to be a solo broker, or I'm going to be a solo agent forever selling 10 houses. You're an idiot. You're an idiot if you're doing that. And I come from a real estate investing background, but the deal is like, eventually you're going to be like, I don't want to be a salesperson the rest of my life. I need somewhere to put all this money. I need something else to do. And that's where this second piece comes. Now, if it is a brokerage, like to your point of like, hey, I want to focus all my energy on one thing and I'm going to be the best agent in the world. Fantastic. That's good. I would say start a brokerage. That's your second thing, because that's the second job. If you realize, like, if you're starting a brokerage, you're training now. Now you're in the education space. I don't think you have a choice, man. I think the truth is you are going to get into multiple things, whether you like it or not. And if you can pick one that's a great USP, it's going to help you sell more houses. I think that if it's done well, it's seamless, right? It's integrated. So like you look at like SEO work, right? So you want to dominate a niche. You don't want to be general. You want to dominate a niche. And the idea is like, so let's say you're the luxury apartment Airbnb girl in Long Island, right? Guess what? You're going to rank high on those SEO, in the SEO, rankings there, right? And then all of the, and excuse me, I'm not an SEO guy. That's why you go to Andrew. But there's like these other like offshoots of that, all these related terms, related searches. You dominate that. And once you've dominated that area, you're going to just start showing up. And then what you find is once people know you, they're going to be like, hey, I'm not looking for an apartment, luxury apartment Airbnb, but I am looking for a house. Can you help me? And they're like, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
No problem. And now you're getting those leads too.
No, yeah. I agree with that. I 100% agree with that. It's about finding your niche. I don't know if it's like connecting a second income stream, So like, I'll give you a good example. One of the guys that I was talking to, he's like the most flamboyant gay guy you know. And his niche is he's in the gay Chicago market. So he just destroys everyone else in that market. So it's like you just need to find that thing that kind of overlaps.
Yeah.
Another good example for me, and I don't do this as much as LinkedIn as I do on Instagram, but it's powerlifting. I just want to say a huge thank you for watching this far into the podcast. Now, I don't want to say our goal on this channel is to help as many real estate agents with their marketing as possible. So if you could help us hit the subscribe button and help us reach more agents every single day, that would be greatly appreciated. So with that being said, let's hop straight back into the podcast. So I'm a power lifter in addition to doing like real estate SEO, real estate SEM.
Right.
So you need something to be not even like a niche, but like relatable, more or less.
Yeah. No, I mean, if you can, I mean, it's not that authenticity piece. I think that's a big part of it. I think that you can just niche, like you're saying, and just be the gay Chicago realtor. And that's a fun niche. And like, you're going to be able to, slay in that, no pun intended. You're going to be able to slay in that market, right? Like you will. My thought though is like, what could you add to this where people are, every time you make a sale, it leads to something else that stacks. So it shouldn't be something that interferes. I don't think that it should be like for example with staging. My client who's done staging, the deal is that she got more leads and sold more houses because of it, and then she made money because she's making money from other agents using her staging company. Her houses are selling for more because of the staging company, and it stacks all the way down, right? So my background is I would sell. I mean, I've always been an investor, real estate investor, multifamily. So and any agent's going to tell you this: you're privy to more off-market deals than anyone who's not an agent, generally speaking. So you have access to buying properties that no one else has access to, and therefore they can be for lower amounts. And what it does is it just opens up more opportunities to make deals happen. So that was my experience, but I'd also be interested. I mean, if you have pushback on that.
No, I agree with that. Yeah, that's a really, really good point as well. Like that's fundamentally the difference between horizontal versus vertical integration.
Yep.
Which, like, if you know economics, it basically just means, are you acquiring or working within a company that's in the same niche as you, or getting something in a different sector, basically. And so I think that's a really good example of, I always mix up the two, but I think that's a vertical.
I wish
where it's like,
I remembered economics class better than I do. Sorry, Andrew. I wish I could back you up here.
Dude,
I don't remember.
Dude, I barely passed the AP test. I'm not going to lie to you.
Oh, dude, good for you. Yeah, man.
Dude,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, yeah, like I think that's a really good one because you can stack value, like you said. So it's like instead of getting 100% of something, you're getting 120% of something.
Yeah. Another thing that I think happens with agents and brokers, and if you've been an agent or a broker for any amount of time, you're going to see this. But what happens is they make a lot of money, and then the question is just, where is it going? So I had a couple of client calls today, and we were going over their personal brand strategy. And my question is basically this: I want to see, where are you catching money all the way down the funnel? So you're selling houses. Fucking great. Awesome. I want you to sell houses. What's the next step? What are you doing with that money? How are you going to leverage the knowledge that you have to be a good agent to make more money? So one of the things that I talked about with the client today was like, okay, so you're going to sell houses, then you're going to flip a couple houses. Great. You're going to have access. You're going to know what's going on in the market. You're going to know ARVs. You're going to be able to do that, right? Awesome. So you're selling houses, you're flipping houses. What's the long game? You don't want to flip houses and sell houses the rest of your life. What are you going to do? And then that's where you start saying, oh, well, I want to have passive income. Awesome. How do you want to have it? Do you want to have it be multifamily, long-term rentals? Do you want to have Airbnb short-term rentals? That's a business, but you can do it. Do you want to invest in REITs? Like, what's the long-term strategy? Because if we can stack your personal brand strategy so that you're catching money on every bucket all the way down, great, right? And it's really stacking on your skill, like you were talking about. But the idea is that if you don't know what's at the very end of the funnel, and if that's not a sustainable long-term plan, you're fucking wasting your time, man. Like you're missing the most important part, right? The flipping houses, for example, selling houses, flipping houses. The tax man's coming after you. That's a highly taxed income, right? Where are you going with that income that you've been absolutely demolished by the tax man? Where are you going to put that in? What investment vehicle are you going to put that in that's going to make you an income that is less taxable, where the government has less ability to go after you for it? And so that's where I want all of my clients thinking long term. And you don't have to. I mean, you can put a personal brand together that's all nuance, but like I like this holistic, integrated way of approaching things where the person benefits the most at the end of the day. Because I could come in here and say, hey, what's your little cool thing you do? Like, I'm the realtor with the cool purses, right? Like, fine, but and I could leave it at that and be like, hey, we're just going to create social content around that. But I don't, because I think that's short-sighted, and that's not the way I roll. I want you to succeed long term. So you need to have the long view in mind.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's one thing that I see a lot in personal branding courses is they do core pillars. Mm-hmm. So your core pillars are like, what are you interested in? Mm-hmm. And then holistically that creates you. So typically people do like 3 or 5. So it's like, of your day-to-day life, what are the 5 things that you do the most? A lot of times it's going to be your job, the niche inside of your job that you work in. Then it's going to be like some hobby. Then it's going to be if you work out potentially, is that a core value? And it's going to be something about family. And that all together creates you as a personal brand because it shows all of you. Like the best personal brands are the ones where you finally meet them in person and you're like, this is exactly what I expected.
Interesting. Yeah.
You know? So it hits all of that where it's integrated all the way top to bottom, but now it hits all of those values as well. And it's super transparent.
Sure. I mean, the authenticity there is hard to beat. The authenticity in that strategy is hard to beat. Do you mind if I walk you through how I work with clients? This would be great for your listeners.
Go ahead.
This is what I do. If you were to work with me, this is exactly what I would do. So the first thing that I would do when I get a new client on, we're going to have a conversation about what you want. What are your goals? Because the thing about a personal brand is that it has absolutely fucking nothing to do with you. It has to do with your ICP. Your personal brand's not for you unless you're going to be the one liking and commenting on it to yourself. Like, fuck off, dude. It's for your ICP. That's why you're here, right? So the first question is, what do you want? Because like in the case of, real estate, it's like, do you want to sell houses? Do you want to get flips? Do you want to do a syndication? Do you want to start a business doing, septic scopes? Like, what are you doing? Because whatever you want we're going to talk to a different group of people. So I get the three things that they want. I pick three because it's a magic number, I guess. But what's the main thing you want? So for most agents, it's, I want to sell houses. Super. Okay. What's the next thing? And this is where we start talking about, okay, how does this fit into your longer term vision, right? So it's like, well, I want to sell houses, and then I want to buy and holds, right? And then maybe the long-term thing is that I want to have 300 units that produce passive income that I can live on. Awesome. Okay. Those are your three goals. Fantastic. Now we're going to go to your ICP. Who do you need to talk to get to that, right? So like when sell houses, that's actually a good example of like me saying, like, I wouldn't be okay with that. I'd say, what do you mean? You want to sell? How many houses do you want to sell? How much money do you want to make? What are you doing? And then if they said that they want to do multifamily, I'd say, how much do you know about buying and selling multifamily real estate? Because it seems like that might be a good one for you to be in, because you're going to get that's high priced, right? But then you're plugged into that network, right? You're seeing stuff as it's coming in, and you're a buyer too. So you can see stuff that you're going to get first dibs on all the stuff that you're finding for other clients as well. So that seems like a smart idea. And then I would say, like, there's a lot of other ways we can go about this too. Can you own a property management company that could manage for your clients and for yourself? Because if you have 300 units, you're either going to have to be paying 10% of gross rents to your property manager, or you can own the company and get that where you're not paying that, you're getting it at cost. And then all of the people that you're finding apartment complexes for are going to use you. They already trust you. They bought it from you, right? And so you can scale that business. So that's that synergy piece, right? So I say, okay, that's what you're going to do. So then we go to your ICP. So who are you talking to? Okay, it's investors. Okay, I talk to investors much different than I talk to just residential, normal stuff, right? If I'm trying to sell someone who's going to buy something retail, I'm going to talk to the woman. I'm going to talk to her about the kitchens, and I'm going to talk to her about the bathrooms. That's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to get her to get emotionally invested in it, because that's who is going to make the buying decision, and that's how it's going to go. If I'm talking to an investor, it's numbers. What's the ROI? What are potential rents? Where are we at in terms of the market? Is there forced appreciation here? So I become an expert in it. And guess what? That matches up, because I wanted 300 units of my own. Okay. So now we're stacking, right? So we got our ICP, we know what we want. Then when I go to, and now my USP is built in. I'm the multifamily real estate agent. That's what I do. I do it better than anyone. I'll get you a better ROI than any agent in this market. And I will give you, I give free classes to all of my clients who want to get into investing. I'll show you exactly how to do it. Right. And guess what we've now got? We've got onto one of our content pillars. One of our content pillars is education around real estate investing. Right. So that's one thing. Then the way maybe we decided we were going to do a property management company because that was going to make us a bunch of money. Now, one of my pillars is talking about property management stuff. And all of my pillars are for the benefit of my ICP. Because the deal is that, and to your point, like that you made, I think that you're right in if it's actually a personal brand, like a lifestyle type brand, especially. You need, like, that's the whole thing, is you're selling entertainment. You have these different pieces, and that authentic self is what people buy, right? But when you're a real estate agent, and you can do you could go lifestyle. I have a client who is one of the girls on Selling Sunset. And so we had to have a real conversation. And for those of you who don't know, it's a series on Netflix where these very beautiful women sell real estate in Southern California. And so she's, a veritable icon, right? So she's got this thing where a lifestyle brand might make sense for her, where it's like we can do this thing where she just becomes famous for fame's sake type of a thing. And it's like, well, you want to buy your house from her because she's beautiful and people know her, and there's like that piece of it. And that's awesome. But my thing is, like, for most of us normies, I think that you should have your ICP, and your personal brand is for them, not for you.
That's a weird thing as well, though, too, right? So think about this. In real estate, who is your ICP most of the time?
As an agent, buyers and sellers.
Okay. So who are buyers and sellers?
Depends on the area, and it depends on like the class of real estate you're selling. And I would say it depends on what kind of an agent you want to be.
Yeah. Like if you, let's just assume you're residential.
Okay.
Who specifically is your ICP?
So I would say it depends on what you want to specialize in. I'm sorry, I keep saying it depends, but you could do first-time home buyers.
Yeah.
You could do luxury market.
Let's just say general residential, because like a lot of agents, especially in like smaller towns, like Wisconsin, for example, it's just residential.
Yeah.
You have residential and you have commercial, and those just are the niches because there isn't enough homes to sell,
Sure.
if you know what I mean. So like if you're just a residential agent, for a lot of agents, who's going to be your target audience?
I would never, even in small markets, I come from small markets, I'd still
Really?
niche down. However, if you're in a super small market and I had to pick one person and I'm going to do residential, I'm going to pick women aged 30 to 40. That's who I'm going to pick.
Okay. So most real estate agents, so what is it, like 60 or 70% of real estate agents are women, and the average real estate agent age is 55. So you are your ICP. So a personal brand would almost be perfect. So I think there's a lot of cases in which who you are targeting is just you looking to buy a house.
Absolutely. No,
and so a personal brand works, like a lifestyle personal brand works really, really well.
Yeah.
So I'll give you a good example. I had Omar on the podcast. If you know who that is, he's from Washington, D.C. He's like popping off in real estate. And the reason why is he has this luxury lifestyle personal brand. That's his entire thing.
Yep.
And he's like, if you want to buy a home in the Washington, D.C. area, I'm your guy. And so he runs, his entire thing is he runs the luxury lifestyle. He sees what does the best, and then he runs retargeting ads to follow people, get people to follow him. But it's just in the DC area. So his audience is who he wants, and he has a personal brand that backs it as authority.
Yeah, I love that. But I would say, so I agree 100%, but I think that you've now talked about a guy who has a very specific target audience. I'd say like his ICP is these people wanting to live a luxury lifestyle. And so the beautiful thing is, and then he lives it. So all of his he is still selling to his ICP. He is his ICP, to your point. You're right. And I think that's a great point. And I would say another example, I have another client, to your point of like, you are your ICP, and he's in a small town in Idaho, and his whole brand is, I'm just a small town good old boy. I'm just a good old boy. And it works great. And it's very authentic. And people like that, and he stays top of mind. He also, it publishes like an animal. The dude is doing so good at staying top of mind. And I think that you have to, if you do kind of that lifestyle thing, I think it pays off big. But again, in all of these cases, I still think it's very smart to have the long view here, because most agents are out. I think it's like 87% of agents are out in the first year. And then something like 91% are out within 5. Like, not many people stick around. And so if you want to stick around, I think you have to have a long-term strategy. So your strategy, I think, is a great one. This lifestyle, that is a great strategy that will work, but you got to commit. Like, you are now, I think really what you're talking about is being also like an influencer. Like, you are going to be influential in the community. You have got to be like, you're selling your lifestyle. You're selling yourself as that as that hook, right? And I think that works. I think that is a viable strategy.
Yeah, I think it's all nuanced too as well. Like that's the problem with personal branding. There's no like this works, but this also works.
Yeah.
You just have to kind of pick a path to go down.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's a weird thing compared to like SEO. There's really only one way to do it properly. And if you do anything else, you're just wasting your time. Whereas like personal branding, it's like there's a bunch of different things that can work.
Right. Yeah, and I think it's interesting because if you're an agent or a broker, I would still say figure out what you want, figure out who your ICP is, and then build your brand, even if you go the lifestyle route. Like, so here's an example. To your lifestyle point, I would say like, okay, once you know who your ICP is, then say like, okay, what's important to them? Because you might be really into bird watching, but is that going to resonate with your ICP or not? And that's ideal client profile, just for everybody listening, if I didn't say that earlier. But is that going to resonate or not? Pick the hobby that you have that will resonate best with your ICP. It can be, it can be a hobby. You can still do that as one of your content pillars, but like make sure it's one that is like going to track, right? Don't have it be like, yeah, I'm really into, probing cadavers. People are going to be like, you're a fucking psychopath. I'm not into that, dude. And so, I mean, I think you're tactful about it. The next thing that I think, and to your point with personal branding, that is very tricky, especially in the social realm, is there are so many mediums to make it happen. So once you dialed in your personal brand, you have what you want, your ICP, your USP, your content pillars, your voice and tone. You have all of the messaging things locked in. We know exactly what we're doing. That's just the first chapter. Then it's the most important one, but it's the first one. Then you say, okay, what is, according to the ICP that we've chosen, what medium is going to work best? So first of all, what platform, social media platform? I would say Facebook for most folks. Instagram, I understand a lot of women like, but it depends on what you're selling. But I would say Facebook, maybe Instagram, but those two, right? So you got to pick the platform you're on, but then you say, okay, is it video? Is it text graphics? I mean, it's definitely pictures of you. Which pictures of you are you? What kind of videos are you doing? I mean, video in and of itself, short form video is an entire thing by itself. Like that is its own thing by itself. So, but that is just one of the many mediums that you could use. Are you doing polls? Are you sharing? Are you doing a PR situation where you're trying to get in the newspapers? Are you getting on podcasts? Like, what are the mediums that you're going to use to communicate your message? That's one of the next, complicated questions. And to your point, I think that's where personal branding can go a lot of different ways that can work as long as you have a strategy and you're being measured about it and analytical with the results and, measuring and improving.
Yeah, that's very, very true. The other thing is making sure that whatever you pick hits your target market. So whoever you're trying to hit. So like, I'll give you a really good example. Like we both have a decent LinkedIn following, but the problem is how many residential agents are really on LinkedIn? Give you a hint. It's not that many. So like everyone that I get from LinkedIn is basically all commercial, basically everyone. There's a few minority in which it's residential, but it's a vast majority commercial. And the other thing that you see a lot is none of the agents that I'm working with on LinkedIn engage with my content. They just read it, which is so different compared to the other platforms. Whereas like Instagram, basically everyone's liking your post. Or if you go on Facebook, basically everyone's just like looking at, oh, this is interesting, I'll share it with whatever, right?
Yeah. I mean,
so
no, go ahead. Sorry.
It's just the platform as well. That's all I was going to say.
No, I agree. I've found that, I mean, honestly, so you're absolutely right. The different people are on different platforms. Facebook, I found that I have a lot of people that look at my content and then reach out to me, but never like it. Whereas on LinkedIn, I actually have the opposite. I have a lot of people engage with me, but not a ton of reach out, which I mean, I get some too, but yeah, I think it depends on who you're trying to reach. And you're exactly right. Like dead on. No, residential folks aren't really on LinkedIn, right? That's residential agents is what I meant to say. They're not a lot on LinkedIn. It's a Facebook thing, and Instagram, depending on the market you're in. Facebook is very regional, which is the reason I and it's not that I like Facebook. Fuck Meta, I fucking hate them, dude. They suck. LinkedIn's way better, but that is where if you're looking to talk to someone who's 30 to 50, it's on Facebook, man. And you're gonna get some stuff with LinkedIn, but Facebook is more it's more interactive. You got groups you can get in. There's a lot of ways to connect with a community, which for a lot of folks like you're talking about are in small town like Wisconsin or small town Idaho, which is what I grew up in. And those groups are active, man. And being a part of the community and a part of the different community groups matters. And so yeah, then your point of like what's working on Facebook, right? And so yeah, I agree. I think you pick the medium, you pick the platform, then you get a mix of mediums that's bringing good, I would say, outcomes. Engagement's tricky. This idea of like, well, I want to post things that people like. Maybe it depends. You really want to post things that get you sales. That's what you want, right? And so you've also that's why you've got to look at outcomes, right? There's no shame in saying like, you know what, I want to be an influencer. I want follows and likes. Fair enough, but we're going to post different stuff than if we're trying to get you sold. We're trying to help you sell houses. It's not the same thing.
Yeah, it's so different. So I'll give you a really, really good example in SEO. So there's this whole thing going on in the SEO community. They're like, you have guys that are here for traffic and you have guys that are here for revenue. And here's the thing, different eyeballs have different value points. So if someone clicks a page that is like homes for sale in X, they're more likely to buy from you than someone who's like schools in X, right? Like two very different things, two very like different targets. And so even using me as an example, just because I don't want to share any of my client statistics, I book 1 to 2 booked calls per week, purely from SEO. But my traffic is like 10 a week because all of my pages on my website are niche specific. So it's website, real estate website developer in insert state. And so people are clicking on that, seeing us and like, we're the authority now. So now they're going to want to learn more and book a call.
Yep, absolutely.
And it's the exact same thing in social media. The likes don't matter. What matters is your DMs. Like if I showed you my LinkedIn DMs, you would just be like, it's just message after message. We probably have 5 or 10 open conversations a day on LinkedIn. And it's basically all commercial agents. And the other thing is like, if you're not having those conversations in the DMs, they're not going to convert as well, which is another like huge paradigm shift for a lot of people.
Honestly, that's the clip right there, Andrew. Like, that's so good, man. It's not the likes, it's the DMs, 100%. Like, that's a great, like, that's it. That's exactly it. Because, and that's what in real estate, like, I talk to people about this, but real estate's a relationship business. It's who you know. It's face-to-face, it's handshakes. That's true. I think people use that as like an excuse not to be on social media. But no, that is absolutely the case. But the deal is, all of your content should be geared towards getting you face to face, or in the DMs is a great bridge. But it's like, hey man, saw your post. We're thinking about moving. We should go get lunch. Done. Right? Done deal. That's what you want. And so the idea that the content itself is a means to an end to get these conversations to be had, right? So building authority is on socials, like, yeah, you're posting about your wins, and it's also kind of getting things out there. As far as SEO, I can't speak to that because that's not my, I send people to you then for that. But as far as on socials, like, you want to signal, your authority and stuff and be top of mind, but all of your sales are going to come after lunch. No one's saying like, hey, here's all my information, list my house in a DM. They're going to say, hey, saw your post, I'm thinking of selling my house, let's get lunch, right? That's how that's going to work. And again, SEO is a little different. So SEO it's more, getting people who are going to fill out a thing and be like, hey, here's all my stuff, sell my house. But on socials, a lot of the time it's like we're getting to DMs and we're getting to conversations. But yeah, that's the point, not the likes. And I mean, the shares, the only thing I'd say about shares is that if you can make shareable content, it's a good way to get more reach, to get a little farther out. But again, did it lead to a sale? That's the only metric that matters.
Yeah. Like, end of the day, the only metric that matters is conversion rate. Period. End of story. I don't give a flying fuck about anything else. If I'm paying $10 per lead, but 1 in 10 of those are converting into a sale, I do not care.
Yep. Yeah. And
like that.
Go ahead.
like I had an agent who was like, but like our cost per click is so high because we were running ads for them. And I'm like, but it doesn't matter because you're selling at a cheaper rate than everyone else. So who cares if your cost per click is high? It's like leading indicators versus ending indicator. I think that's what they call it.
Yeah, yeah. I would say, and my thought is, like to the point that I was bringing up earlier with the agent who wants to invest in multifamily. The only other thing that does matter quite a bit that you can think of when you're calculating the cost per click or the cost to acquire a client is lifetime customer value. If you can get a client, sell them an apartment building, then manage that apartment building for them and collect all of that revenue, and then use some of their capital or equity in the property they just bought to put into your syndication to go buy more apartment complexes, the cost that you incur to acquire that client is worth so much money, right? If that's $7,000 a lead, it's worth it. If that's what it costs to acquire that client, you are going to make 100x that. So lifetime customer value matters, but the only way that's going to happen in terms of like an agent is if you're thinking strategically long term. How is this affecting? Another thing you could do, for example, you know what? If I give another example, it's just going to be all investing stuff. But I'm sure there's other things. I'm an investor, so when you're an investor, if you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail. I'm always thinking about that stuff. But there's other ways that you could ostensibly make money from acquiring the client after the sale as well.
110%. The thing though that a lot of agents, at least in my experience, struggle with is how do you track that? So for your clients, how are you tracking, like, I guess ROI, so return on investment?
Yeah. So essentially it's like, what does it cost to acquire the client? And then, what package are they, what services are they getting from me? And what's the cost of those services? And how long do I retain them as a client, right? So in my case, it's not a one-time sale, it's reoccurring, right? So what's the, how long are my clients sticking with me, right? And so once I've calculated, okay, I have these services that cost this much and they've been with me for this amount of time on average, that's going to give me my lifetime customer value. And then if they decide they want to do more services with me, then that increases. And so that's how I'm measuring that. As far as like with with an agent, maybe the other example I'll give is that one that I used with someone who's doing a staging thing. So maybe you discount it, but you're still going to charge your clients for the staging fee, right, to support your company. So you acquire them as a client, you're going to sell their house. So you're going to make 3% or whatever, depending on your brokerage situation. You're going to make 3% of the sale, but then you're also going to get paid when they do the staging, right? And then you also have a house cleaning business that cleans houses before, the showings or whatever. And so you're going to make a little money there. So now the lifetime value of that customer is all of those things put together, right? And then sometimes people, when you get into the weeds on it, if you keep them in your email list and if you keep being top of mind, they'll sell a house with you again later on. So now your lifetime customer value goes way up, right? So, selling one house for them is one thing, but, selling a couple houses and helping them buy houses, now you're really talking. But so that's the lifetime value of the customer. But there's two parts to that, I would say. It's the acquisition cost, but then it's also the retention cost, because you're going to acquire them, but then you've also got to be top of mind. And that involves like, hey, you need to reach out once in a while. You need to send them a birthday card. You need to, throw events for your customers, which a lot of people do, where it's like, hey, it's free to come to this movie, and that's a cost. And hey, we're doing a barbecue and, you're paying for it and that's a cost. Those are retention costs. But the idea is that if it means that you're keeping those customers so that you can sell their next house, it's pennies.
Yeah. I see that a lot. Like that's what basically every single real estate coach that I've ever seen, like that's the only thing they talk about is once you get a customer, just like retain them, bro, and like get referrals. And it's just like that. It's like a broken record. It's like, can we get something new,
Yeah. No,
because, and the other thing is like, I want to say this as well. Like
they're not wrong. They're right. Like, that is the biggest part of this entire thing. Doesn't matter. You, me, we can get a ton of leads for these guys. We can get them drowning in leads. But if they can't retain or even convert the customer in the first place, it's pointless.
Yep. No, it's a great point. And that speaks to your point of like, you need to be a decent agent. You can't be a shitty agent. Like, it's not going to work. You're going to lose every lead that comes in if you're a shitty agent. So I think that you mentioned that earlier, and I shouldn't have dismissed that as like a given. But yeah, you have to be a good agent. You have to, and that's hard to do. Like, we should say that, right? I'm an agent in 2 states, and it's hard. It's an emotional roller coaster. You're bending over backwards. And I'll tell you, I work with agents, like I said, all the way up to, people on TV shows who are agents, and it's no different. Like, your clients are going to be petulant children who are going to be calling you all the time, and you're going to answer, and you're going to work them through, and you're going to be a part-time therapist. Yes, that's your job. You will be doing that. You have to. Like, there's no way around it, right? But you'll make a good commission check. And the deal is that once you've established all of that, I think one of the biggest, and I think that's what you're getting at, is that people just kind of like let it go. It's like, yeah, we went through this huge life event for them, and then I dropped them off. It was like, hey, thanks for the check, bye. Like, that's a bad idea. Like, follow up with them. Like, I mean, the best agents are like well networked, right? And yeah, I mean, the deal is, look, you should be. That's why it's good to be plugged into the community. But yeah, you need to be sending their kid a birthday card, and you need to be, supporting. When the wife or husband gets a new job, you need to comment on Facebook and say, hell of a, this is amazing, good for you, that kind of a thing. And then you need to be staying relevant in their inbox. And I think that's kind of to kind of circle back a bit to what we had talked about earlier, where I'm like, you need to have more than one thing. Once you've sold someone a house, like, they're not in the market for a house. Are there other ways that you can be in their inbox? And I think that also speaks to what you said. Maybe that's by being a lifestyle influencer type person in your community. Great. They're seeing you, you're relevant. The next time they go to sell a house, you're top of mind all the time. But you need to have that, because if you're only ever talking about, do you know anyone who needs to sell a house? Here's what's happening. Here's what's happening in the market isn't a bad thing to do if you're an agent, but it can be overdone. And so, yeah, staying relevant, and that's that. And then the retention activities.
Yeah. Retention is the biggest thing. Like we can harp on this, and just being a good agent. I think the best example of like being a good agent would be reading people as well. And that's the biggest thing. Kind of like if you're familiar with like EQ.
Yeah.
Of like, how can you read people's emotions?
Mm-hmm.
So I hate using this as an example, but the only client we have ever churned, like, that they have left us, and this is it breaks my heart. The main lady who was teaching all of the agents, her thing was like, call them every day. If they don't pick up, call them again the next day. Leave another voicemail. And I'm like, you just burned. So they wanted to run, it was a brokerage of 8 or 10, and they wanted leads for all of them. So they were spending like $1,000 per person. So they spent nearly $10,000 to get these leads. And they were calling them every day and burned basically every single lead, all of them.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, you just have to read people. Like, all you need to do is get them to talk to you. Once they talk to you, you sit down with them for a cup of coffee, dinner, whatever. Get to know them. So this is where, if you're super familiar with, most agents are going to be super familiar with sales. So you have discovery, and this is this part. So what I like to tell people about discovery is you ask, so you learn about them. Mm-hmm. What is their life story? Why are they looking to buy or sell? Then you ask them to visualize what this house is going to do for them. And then you book them, or selling this house, buying or selling. I was just using buying as an example. Then you book them into the actual like sales meeting, if you will. And this can be the listing meeting, or it can be a open house or whatever. So you figure out who they are, what they're looking for. You ask them to visualize why they want it, and then you book them in. You can't just call asking for a meeting, because now you just look like a sleazy salesperson. You have commission breath.
Yep.
You know?
Yep. 100%.
And that's the thing that social media does too. It's like a lubricant on that, if you will.
Yeah, no, 100%. So, and you're exactly right. So when I work with a client, we'll go over what they want so we understand, and hopefully we've stacked it like I talked about. Then we identify the ICP. The part that I skipped talking about with you is that once we've identified the ICP, the most important part of my job is to do the copywriting research. And what that is I sit down and I say, okay, we have psychographics and we have the demographics. We know how old they are, what gender they are, demographics, psychographics. And then we also we need to talk about niches, right? Because for agents, some of them are going to do lifestyle and do everything. But if you're in a big city, you have no business doing that. You're stupid if you're doing that. I'm just going to say it. Like, I don't agree with that at all. If you're in a big city, you need to niche down. Whatever you're going to do, it could be a geographical niche. It can be, there's all sorts of niches, but you're going to say, I'm in real estate. I'm a real estate agent. I'm a real estate agent who something. You have that. So we do that. So that we understand how we're relating to our ICP. So then we get to our ICP and I do something called PQR2s. So we're going to do the problems, questions, roadblocks, desired results. And you need to do 15 for each. And that's hard to do. You say, what are their problems? And that's that visualization piece of like, okay, I'm working with this person. And if you have them on a sales call, I mean, you can just ask them some of these questions, right? Be tactful about it, but you can understand what their concerns are. You can understand. And the very act of asking them the questions will build rapport. So that by the end, if you took the time, I mean, I think most people who get a real estate agent are actually looking for a therapist. So if you take the time to listen to them, they will love you forever and let you sell their house, right? So what I'll do is I'll sit down with the client that I'm working with and say, okay, so what are their problems? It has to be 15. It's going to be like, well, I need a house to live in. Great. What else? It's like, well, I want my kids to go to a good school. Awesome. What else? And we're going to go through that. We're going to go through all their problems. And we're going to go through their questions. What happens if we offer on something and they come back at a higher price? And what happens if we can't sell our house in the first month? Like all these questions that come up. So that if you do that work, first of all, your content's going to be fire because people are going to see your content and they're going to be like, what's this guy in my fucking head? He knows everything that I'm thinking. And that's really what happens. The people that, and we've all been there because it doesn't have to be for real estate. But I guarantee you've seen an ad or a piece of content or a meme at some point and you saw it and you've been like, that's fucking me. That's me. Yep, you're right. I agree 100%, and when you can get to that level, they won't sell with anyone else. They won't even think about it because they understand the problems, that they feel seen and understood. And then they have loyalty to you and they won't leave. And so, yeah, I agree with you. I think that you do that in the actual sales meeting. And I think you do that with your content.
100%. It's like cult building. Like everyone needs to join your cult, That's what your audience is.
Yep.
And like, that's a harsh word to use, but it's so right.
Mm-hmm.
So right.
Yep.
And like, that's just spot on. Like and then the other thing is like, as I was saying, like if you are your ICP, now you're also relatable, which is another layer on top of it.
Yep, 100%. And yeah, I mean, I think that it's all about knowing your ICP. And so again, I think that even that point that you were bringing up earlier of like, yeah, if you're a 55-year-old woman and you're selling to other 55-year-old women, fantastic. But like, say it. Like, let's be out with it. That's who you're selling to. Because I think it can be overwhelming when people are like, I need to do marketing to people in my city, And it's like, yeah, that is overwhelming because you don't relate to most of them, right? There's a group of folks that you are going to sell to better than anyone else. You need to focus on those folks. And if you don't specify that, I just think that you get overwhelmed and you don't do marketing. You say, well, I'll just sell to my family and friends and we'll just see where this goes. And you drop out.
Agreed. Yeah, I think that's the nature for most agents, unfortunately. But the problem is like you need to understand marketing first to do it, unless you're super popular already. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would say you should be hiring someone. I think that there's this trope in real estate agent land that like marketing is bad, like it's going to be a waste of money. And I would say just look at the stats then. Like most of you are going to be out within a year and most don't market. So, I mean, you can look at, and then the agents who are around, you notice something about them? Is it the fact that they all market? Yeah. And again, I know this could be correlation and not causation, but it's definitely correlation. Like it definitely has some impact however you look at it. Whether that's even just the mental work that it takes to go through the marketing process that refines you and shapes you as an agent, right? Because you don't get to just like if I'm sitting down with an agent, it's not like, oh, you hired me to do marketing, awesome, I'll send you my bill at the end of the, and maybe some marketing agencies do that actually, but it's not going to be like, hey, yeah, I'll just send you the bill and I'll just start doing stuff. No, no, no. We're going to have mini coaching session because I've got to understand, who are you trying to sell to? What are you trying to do? And that, like, almost that coaching that is required in order to understand who your ICP is, what your USP is, what your content pillars are, that's going to change you fundamentally as an agent. So I would say that separates the sheep from the goats.
I think you'll find this insane. So like we have a happy medium as an agency where we're trying to pull back from kind of the coaching aspect.
Sure.
So as an agency, we primarily work with brokerages. We don't work with individual agents just because, like, especially on a Google side, you need economies of scale to make it work. So you need to have so much marketing budget to make it work. And so we're pulling away from that, where we were doing once weekly, we were doing calls with everyone, where it was like, we sit down with them. What are your problems? How can we diagnose them? We're now down to once a month. So we're only on a call with them once a month. And it's not even coaching. It's how can we make these leads better for you? Because the broker already understands how to do the leads. So I think there's also a weird thing of like, coaching is good, but don't expect it from people.
Oh, sure.
Because if you want coaching, buy coaching. But if you want leads, buy leads. That's what, like, the difference between, say, Zillow and Tom Ferry is. Tom Ferry's coaching is going to teach you how to sell leads, all that stuff. Close people once you get the lead, but it's not going to get you the lead. Whereas Zillow is going to give you leads.
Yeah.
And so I think there's also that, and you have to be nuanced as an agent.
Yeah.
If you're a new agent, get coaching. Please, for the love of God, get coaching. We love you guys.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. The idea is that early on, when you're establishing the brand, you do the coaching. After that, once a month is ample. You're good once a month. The idea is not, I don't have time for that. I need to sit down with you once or twice and work out your personal brand strategy. Once that's done, all we're doing is we're tweaking it. But I don't need to sit down with you if we're reinventing your personal brand strategy, like on a monthly basis, we're not a good fit. Like, you got to get clear on what you need, man. Like that's where we got to go first. So I agree with you. Early on, I think you have to have those first meetings to get clear on what you're doing. Now, I would also say with a brokerage, it's different. Individuals and brokerages are different. A brokerage needs to make money from agents, but agents can churn. And you don't want them to churn, but they will churn because you're a brokerage, and most are going to fail out statistically, right? So you've got to create an identity for the brokerage. But as far as an individual agent or an individual real estate professional, in my case, for the people I work with, it's at an individual level. So that also looks different. Where, I mean, company branding and personal branding have a lot of overlap, but they are different.
Yeah, I agree 100%. All right, man. I think that's a good spot to wrap her up. So with that being said, where do you want to send people?
Yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn or Facebook. Those are the two places to find me. You can get the links to my free real estate post newsletter that I send out every week, templates that I send out for agents and for real estate professionals, so hard money lenders, syndicators, that kind of a thing. And there's also a link to book a strategy call with me where we can sit down and kind of lay some groundwork for a personal brand and see if it's a good fit.
Oh, yeah.